Alright guys, now this is going to be super cool. So our celebrity spotlight for the last week of February is Tony Robbins. Now, I've kind of been on the fence with Tony for a little while because he seems kind of corporate now, more about the money, more about the, the bank account than about other things. But Gabe, the producer that does the videos behind the scenes, he's cute little Gabe, he's... I'm a little too much for him. I'm overwhelmed. But he was telling me there's a documentary about him that shows a lot of really cool things that he does. And I'll have to look it up because some of the things he was telling me are just amazing. So his chart is actually amazing too. He is a 2911, so 2 plus 9 is 11, so you write it as 29/11. Now the 11s usually don't come into their own until later in life, which for Tony, that's been the case. I mean, he's been around for a while, but he's also turning, how old is he? He's turning 58. So, he's hit his stride later in life. He wasn't, 20, in his 20s when he hit his stride. It was a little later. And it's because the 11s are the spiritual guides, or one of the master numbers, so they need to have experience under their belt in order to guide somebody. You can't guide yourself at 25, let alone guide someone else, because you just don't have the life experience to back you up. So if there's anyone out there that feels like, did I miss the boat? Did I take a wrong turn? Likely it's your energy that you're not meant to hit your path and purpose till a little later. You're meant to go through some sacrifice, loss, and hardship, unfortunately, to gain that personal experience you need. So like Tony, that's what has happened. He actually has a chart, which is really interesting because his peak cycles go from 4-9-4-9. So back and forth. He has 4 cycles like that. And it's intriguing to me because I think he's, that's why he's had such longevity in his career in particular, because of that fact. Early on, the first 4 would have been outward based because he was young. It would have been more about foundation building in the sense of house and career. He might have been doing something else, maybe working corporate, who knows. But it was more of a materialistic outward sense. Then he hit the 9 in his early 30s, and from his early 30s until about 43, he was under a high change 9. So that meant change on every level, like career, relationships, moving, you name it, health, finances, the whole 9 yards. So that may have been where he did the shift to what he does now. Not sure, I haven't really researched him that in depth, but it might be worth your while to Google a little bit about him, and even that documentary, I'm going to check it out. So Tony had, at 43, another 4 cycle. So unlike the first 4 cycle, which was outward based, it would have been more about, like I said, career, house, family, blah, blah, blah. This 4 could be one of 2 things, or both. Either a restructuring and or building outward and restructuring. So he was building his empire more globally, outwardly, bigger. He's an 11, which means that his path is meant to be global. It has to be global. It just draws him to be global. So that's what that 4 would have been about. And now he is in a 9 cycle again, which is changed, high change, and on every level. And he will keep that one subdued until death. So he has, from 52 for 9 years, he had it intensely. And then now he's 58. So he's pretty much at the end of his 9-year period, which means he's going to slowly have it subdued a little bit, not so much chaotic change, but it could focus more on humanitarian now, giving back and doing things like that. So it'll be interesting to see what he's all about for the next phase, because his personal year this year is a 6, which is creativity, creative expression, the visionary, seeing the bigger picture, but it's also relationships and really kind of maybe disassociating himself with certain people in the industry even, or stepping out on his own that way, or who knows. But there's a lot of relationship shifting. And it's not just about personal relationships, it's every relationship, every connection that you can think of. So we'll see how that goes for him this year. But his peak cycle's a 9, which is high change. So it's definitely going to be big. It's definitely going to be a big shift in relationships in some way. So, it's never an easy path with an 11, because they're usually way over here when they should be way over here. They're kind of always mixed up and upside down and backwards, and they're usually kind of eccentric people that do things differently than the average person, which Tony does. So, he's actually got the gift of the 4, which 4 is the bridge energy. So I'm thinking this new shift may be associated with that point A to point B, what I call point A to point B. Point A is that life you hate, that job you hate. And point B is living your path and your purpose and your passion and loving it, and the money follows. But a lot of people see point A, the dead-end job they hate, the life they hate, and the B with a big black hole in the middle. But when someone has the gift of the 4, they're the illuminator, they're the bridge energy. I call the 4 the bridge when it's the gift. So he's illuminating or creating a bridge for people to take them from point A to point B. So he's going to be very pivotal upcoming. And then his how is a 16-7. So it's all about like raw truth, like ripping off the Band-Aid, no sugarcoating, tell it like it is. This is how it's going to go. This is how you're going to do it, and we're going to do it. So he's always been like that, but I think it's going to get even more intense for him right now. He does have the arrow of skepticism, which is interesting, and he has double 2s, which he's very intuitive and very sensitive that way, but not a lot of ability to express his feelings. And he's very smart. He's got a 6 and double 9, so he's definitely a tangent thinker. He'd probably fit more into the ADHD group type person than anything else. But interesting character, and I want to say, happy birthday to Tony Robbins. Now, Gabe's got me intrigued, so I'm going to have to Google him when I get home. I'm kind of like the Google queen. I'm like CSI Cyber. I go underground, so I'll find it. I'll find all kinds of stuff on him. So, you might want to Google him yourself, because he's a very intriguing guy. So tune in again next week, and we will have the first official celebrity of the first full week of March. So thank you for tuning in to our Celebrity Spotlight this week on lotteryusa.com.